Once upon a time, in a land where 10 mighty kingdoms stood side by side, peace and prosperity reigned. Each kingdom was unique, ruled by a wise and noble king or queen, and each had its own brave knight sworn to protect it. These 10 knights were renowned for their courage, skill, and loyalty, and they were the guardians of their realms against any threat that dared arise. The calm before the storm. For years, the 10 kingdoms lived in harmony. Fields were bountiful, rivers ran clear, and the people thrived. But in the dark corners of the land, deep within the mountains and thick forests, a sinister alliance was brewing. Dragons, fierce and fiery, joined forces with ogres, massive and monstrous. They sought to conquer the kingdoms and claim the lands for themselves. The first attack. One night, as the moon hung high in the sky, the ground shook, and the air filled with the roar of dragons and the bellow of ogres. The first attack came upon the kingdom of Lyrien, where Sir Cedric, the Knight of Lyrien, stood ready. With his gleaming sword and indomitable spirit, he faced the onslaught head-on. Though he fought valiantly, the creature's numbers were overwhelming. The call for help. Seeing the peril of their neighboring kingdom, the other knights knew they had to unite. Sir Cedric sent a messenger falcon to the other 9 knights. Within days, they all gathered in Lyrien, each bringing their own strengths and skills. There was Lady Elara of Arendor with her unmatched archery, Sir Thaddeus of Thormund with his immense strength, Lady Seraphina of Sylvanvale with her magical prowess, and the others, each as formidable as the next. The grand strategy. The knights convened in Lyrien's grand hall, crafting a strategy to defend all 10 kingdoms. They decided to split into pairs and patrol the borders of the kingdoms, ready to respond to any attack. They knew they could not simply wait. They had to take the fight to their enemies. The battle for Arendor. Lady Elara and Sir Thaddeus were the first to encounter the enemy in Arendor. A horde of ogres had crossed the border, wreaking havoc on the villages. Elara's arrows flew true, striking down ogres with deadly precision, while Thaddeus's mighty hammer crushed their foes. After a grueling battle, they emerged victorious, but not without cost. Many villagers were injured and homes were destroyed. The Siege of Thormund. Meanwhile, Sir Cedric and Lady Seraphina faced a siege in Thormund. Dragons circled the skies, spewing fire upon the kingdom. Seraphina's magic created protective barriers, while Cedric led the charge with his sword. In a fierce battle, they managed to slay the dragon leader, causing the remaining dragons to retreat. The Shadow in Sylvanvale. In Sylvanvale, Sir Galen and Lady Alice faced a cunning enemy. The ogres and dragons had captured several villagers, using them as hostages. With stealth and bravery, Galen and Alice infiltrated the enemy camp. They freed the captives and set a trap for the creatures, luring them into a narrow canyon where they could be defeated more easily. The final stand. Despite their victories, the knights knew the battle was far from over. The enemy forces were regrouping for a massive attack on the central kingdom of Eldoria. All 10 knights gathered there, prepared for the fight of their lives. The battle was fierce and relentless. Each knight fought with every ounce of strength and courage they had. Lady Isolde of Eldoria, with her strategic mind, led the knights in coordinated attacks, slowly turning the tide of battle. Triumph and sacrifice. As the sun set on the bloodiest day the kingdoms had ever seen, the knights stood victorious. The dragons were slain, and the ogres vanquished. But the victory came with sorrow. Sir Cedric, the brave knight of Lyrien, had fallen, sacrificing himself to save Lady Seraphina from a dragon's fiery breath. The kingdoms mourned their loss, but celebrated the heroism and unity that had saved them. A new dawn. With the threat vanquished, the 10 kingdoms began to rebuild. The knights were hailed as heroes, their deeds becoming legend. In honor of Sir Cedric, a grand statue was erected in Lyrien, reminding everyone of the bravery and sacrifice that secured their peace. Lady Seraphina, inspired by Cedric's sacrifice, vowed to protect the kingdoms with renewed determination. The bonds forged in battle remained strong, ensuring that any future threats would be met with the same unity and courage. And so, the 10 kingdoms thrived once more, their people living in peace and prosperity, knowing they were safeguarded by the 10 mightiest knights the land had ever known. The tale of their bravery spread far and wide, inspiring generations to come. Thus, the land of 10 kingdoms remained a beacon of hope and triumph, proving that with unity, courage, and sacrifice, even the darkest of times can lead to the brightest futures.